Talk to me, Miss Rachele Wilson. What are you most excited about in terms of this topic today?
I am excited to talk about talking because that's what we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah, in
About,
large part.
yep, speaking to the right people, finding your audience, understanding what engagement is,
Hmm.
and really understanding how all of this ties in a digital sense right now, and how you can be moving that needle forward in your business with making these contacts and finding these right people, without having the ability to go out and physically search for them as much. And just,
Yes.
these are tactics that worked before, they will work in the future, they're going to get better. So if you
Hmm.
can get good at it now, it's just going to be a lot easier for you.
Yes. Yes. I concur 100%. And it's interesting, right? You mentioned that, right, in terms of tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're first starting out in business, I mean, let's just be real. When you're first starting out, you're beta testing. Look, if a person has a pulse and they're willing to listen to you, if they're willing to learn what it is you're doing, you're just happy, right? Because you're beta testing and you're in the process of defining who your ideal client is. You're in the process of really ascertaining whether or not this dog has legs, right? Whether or not this business is really going to work for you. But you reach a point when you outgrow the legal pad, right? You reach a point when you outgrow the notebook and you have to start kind of adulting up in your business, right? And then you have to start being more focused and more purposeful about how you engage people, who you engage, and be more cognizant of how your content and your online presence and even your overall approach determines a lot of those things, right? Um, so I like to think about it like the difference between being a salesperson and a sorter. You reach a point where you don't want to be a salesperson. You don't want to be out here in the convincing and cajoling business. And sales isn't necessarily that, right? All sales really is understanding how to influence people. But the bottom line is we know there are people who use sales tactics that are unsavory. You don't want to be part of that crowd, right? So you don't want to be chasing, you don't want to be cajoling. You really want to take the attitude of a sorter. And a metaphor that I like to use is turn over a deck of cards, right? We all know there are 52 cards in a deck and there's only 4 aces, right? And the 4 aces in my mind, those are your ideal clients. Those are the individuals whom you really want to do business with, right? It's your ideal buyer persona. There's a lot of synonyms for it, right? But bottom line is the people that want to do business with you and you want to do business with them. And you want to curate your social media. You want to curate your approach. You want to, quite frankly, curate everything you do to that person or individual or ideal person, right? And I think about it like a deck of cards, right? There's 52 cards, there's only 4 aces. You get to a point where you realize what you're really doing is you're turning over cards, right? And you turn over a card, there's a deuce. You turn over a card, there's a king. You turn over a card, there's a 6. You can't make a deuce a king. You can't make a king an ace. They are what they are, right? So you have people out there where you're sharing your information with folks, and some of them are deuces. They're just not for you. They're not interested in what you're doing. They're the issue isn't salient or relevant to them. And quite frankly, they may not have disposable income to pay for what it is that you're doing. That's a deuce. It is what it is, right? You're going to have some individuals out there that they have the disposable income, but perhaps they need to be educated a little bit. And that's okay, right? We know that it's the same in real life I said real life, same offline. Because people think social media is real. Like they think that's where they live. No, that's not where you live, people. Right. It's not the Matrix, okay? So any respect, getting back to it. So offline, you're sending mailers, you're knocking on doors, you're cold calling, you're going to social events. It's the same thing online. You typically have to touch people 6, 7 times. They have to see or hear from you or engage you, somehow interact with your brand or you personally a handful of times before they say, I like you, I know you, I trust you, this resonates with you, right? So you have individuals who are like that, who are out there. And once again, they may have disposable income, but they're just not quite sure. You know, they just need to be educated about what the value prop is. And then you have those individuals out there that are looking for you, or if they're not looking for you, when they see you, they realize they need you and they have disposable income, right? And when you think about your social media or your online presence in general, right? You want to make sure that your content is geared towards that ace. That's your ace, right? And that I feel is one of the biggest hiccups or hurdles that individuals have to overcome when they start looking at their social media presence and what they're putting out there, the way they're showing up, the type of conversations they're having, the type of content they're sharing, even your profile, right? You know, so we look at it from the standpoint of sorting, right? From being a professional sorter, which is what you want to be. One thing that I pay close attention to, and of course, you know, I spend the majority of my time on LinkedIn. I do a little bit of this on Facebook, but primarily LinkedIn, is I'm looking at your profile. I'm looking at your summary. If I'm looking at your summary and I can't tell how you can help me, that's a problem, right? If I have to kind of figure it out and try to make conjecture and utilize my 20 years of experience to ascertain how you're actually helping people, that's a problem, right? You're not showing up in a way that's going to attract that A person. So in your profile, in your summary, yeah, it's great to tell your life story, but also talk a little bit about these are the problems I solve. This is how I can help you out. This is the value prop that I bring to the table. That's important. That's a big deal. That signals to those aces out there that you can help them, right? Something else that I reflect on, and I'm looking at my notes here, is I'm thinking about some of the business owners I've had conversations with. And one person I'm thinking of in particular, you know, she's a professional writer. That's what she wants to be, right? So she's been doing creative writing for a long time, but now she's making the transition. She wants to do more technical writing. So she wants to do copy editing for websites and for brochures and help people with their vision statements and help people with their training content. That's great. That's fantastic, right? Well, if I'm visiting your profile, number one, you should say that. I help you create copy that works, that sells, that helps you generate more clients, helps you acquire more recruits, whatever the purpose may be, right? That creates training content that's effective and useful, right? I mean, you get the point. But also what I'm looking for is, look, do you have recommendations from individuals whom you've done business with? Do you have individuals who will speak to the fact that you're competent, you're effective at what it is you do? I pay attention to that, right? And that's third party credibility, because you're going to go online and you're going to say what you need to say 9 times out of 10 to put a positive light on yourself. You should do that, right? But that third party credibility is so absolutely important. And even if you haven't worked on large projects yet, even if you haven't done more substantive work in a particular field, still find individuals, if nothing else, who just speak to your credibility as a professional. You know, find individuals. That stuff's important. That, once again, that's signaling, right, to the public, right? Another thing that I pay really close attention to is, do you have projects listed? Even if you're in the ideation stage, even if you're in the I'm just beginning fledgling stage, let people know the stuff that you're working on right now, right? So what, if you're writing a book, you're starting up a landscaping company, you're starting up a real estate company, you're starting up a digital marketing company, have those projects there so people can see, if nothing else, you're gaining experience, you're working on these things, right? Give people an opportunity to get a better idea of what your value proposition is and the things that you're doing right now, right? Because you have individuals online who've done things 20 and 30 years ago, they're not in practice anymore, right? And someone with a trained eye can see that. So let people know the stuff you're working on right now that's relevant, right? So, you know, another thing that I pay close attention to see whether or not a person content is sorting the way they want it to, is I'll pay close attention to the links that you have in your profile, right? I'm going to go to your website. So in this example, if you're a creative writer, but you want to do technical content, I'm going to hit your website. I'm going to find your blog, right? It should be, ideally should be in your profile. And the bottom line is that content needs to align, right? A confused mind does nothing. So if you want to be a technical assistance writer, you want to provide this type of work. Well, when I click that link to your website, when I click that link to your blog, when I click that link to whatever you want me to see, your YouTube work, it should be speaking to that core mission, that value prop that you are articulating and promoting online, right? If you I have multiple side projects, I have multiple interests, right? But I don't promote those things. You have to look long and hard to find it because it's not consistent with my business profile on LinkedIn. So you have individuals who have links to a variety of different sites, a variety of different mediums going on, and it's confusing. So you are a digital marketer here, but you sell cannabis lollipops here. It's going to be confusing. You're doing building and construction here. You're doing landscaping here. You're doing I don't know. You're designing websites there. That's confusing. A confused mind does nothing. I guess that's at the end of the day, right? You want to limit that confusion. You want to make sure that things are synchronized. And I know you can talk about this all day long. I know this is your all day, every day.
Well, I guess I also want to kind of approach that even a little bit differently. I'm glad you brought that up. So when I think about someone who has done or is doing all the things, a bunch of different things, because I'm have been that person many times in my life. So my main hustle, my main trade is digital marketing. But I'm also a piano teacher still, right? And at one point, I used to run a resume writing company. And I also used to do consulting work for arts nonprofit organizations. These don't all align necessarily, right? And so that term, to kind of speak to that, I've seen coined as like a multi-potentialite, right? And I think that it is important to understand that our society now makes it easier for you to have these multiple interests, to have these multiple things that you're doing and pursue those. And that's great. But I do agree with what you're saying of you gotta create some sort of umbrella for all of that. You can be doing all the things, that's fine, but also making sure that on each of your platforms or each of your presences online, that maybe the audience you're speaking to on LinkedIn is not the same audience you're speaking to on Instagram. It's not the same audience speaking to on Facebook. And there's a time and a place for all of these different things. So while your LinkedIn profile may capture, oh, I also do these other things, if you want, it may not be necessary to showcase all of those specific things in every single place, right? You want to make sure that those things are probably visible on a website or something down the line, just so people aren't taken aback, right, or confused or whatever, right? But it's really understanding, even going back to the very beginning of what you said, who are you speaking to? What is your goal of what you're trying to attract on LinkedIn? If you're putting out too many different messages about what you do because you have multiple things that you do, it's just not going to be as effective. But that's not to say that the messaging about this other thing that you do may not work somewhere else, right? Or maybe it needs to be on its own LinkedIn company page as opposed to your profile page, right? So it's really being clear on how like that one special ideal, if you had a billion of them, that person that you're always speaking to, but understanding that may not be the same person across platforms at all. So I think I've had to do that. I have had to find that balance in my own career of like, well, where do I speak to marketing? Where am I speaking to the resume writing? Where am I speaking to the music? That kind of thing. And finding a balance with that. Thankfully, it's a little more streamlined right now, but I definitely, that struggle can feel, confusing. It might be easy to think, I'm just going to put it all out there and see what sticks. But the
Mm.
reality is that you're now just throwing darts at a wall, nothing's sticking. Nobody has any idea on how to take advantage of what you have to offer. And that I want to also bring that up of like what you were talking about with recommendations and stuff too. We are we don't want to let people assume too much without controlling our own narrative of what we're trying to do. If you think that it should be obvious to people that, well, I
Mm-mm.
really do all these, so I'm a hard worker. Well, that might not be the impression
Mm-mm.
that they're getting by seeing all your. They might think, well, you're doing all these things, so you don't focus, right? That we don't want to give assumptions away, which is why
Mm-hmm.
having those recommendations that are speaking directly to the things that are important to you are important. And then the other part I wanted to touch on with what you said too is, yes, we got to have someone interact or touch point with us wherever 6-7 times, right? But the beauty of doing that digitally is that can happen so much faster.
Mm-hmm.
Someone could binge to a certain extent everything you have to offer in a very short amount of time, and that can move, like they can understand what you're about so much faster than if you did this in person as much.
Yeah, I agree. I think about, as I'm listening to you, I reflect on, having a major and a minor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having a major and a minor. You may major in one or two things, right? And it's important, once again, to signal to people what you major in, because at the end of the day, people don't pay 5-star prices for mediocre burgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
People don't do that. People don't pay for mediocre. You don't pay top dollar for a mediocre movie. You don't pay top dollar for a mediocre steak. You don't pay top dollar for a mediocre theatrical experience, right? You won't do it if you're aware that it's not top dollar. You need to let people know, where are you in ASAP? Where are you particularly effective at? Where have you distinguished yourself in terms of skill set? Because that's what people will pay top dollar for, right? If you're marketing yourself as an everyday burger, um, that's the kind of response you're going to get from the marketplace, right? If
Yeah.
you're marketing yourself as a gourmet burger that's geared towards a certain group of individuals, that's the type of response you're going to get. So be aware of that, right? Have that. It's okay, like you said before. I mean, if you have a multiple skill sets, you have multiple services, you have multiple value props, that's great. Have that out there. But as I'm thinking about it even more in depth, have a major and a minor. Let people know where where you really shine, so you can actually acquire clients with disposable incomes who are willing to pay 5-star prices for you. That's something to kind of keep in account as well. um I just had a conversation with a entrepreneur, literally, and yes, we were just talking about it, right, 30 minutes ago. And the one thing that I've seen that also hurts individuals in terms of attracting the type of clients that you may want is this: when you're on these platforms, it's important to let folks know that you are established as a business. We
Mm-hmm.
don't talk about it enough. You need to have a business website for different reasons than it was 10, 20 years ago, right? Today, you're right. The majority of time, individuals are going to find you via social media, and they're going to binge a little bit. They're going to look at your information, right? And they're going to make decisions based on the content you've put out as to whether or not they like you, they trust you, and whether they feel like they know you, right? So that's why showing up and being authentic is important. So they're going to make these decisions. They're going to go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, where else they can find your content, and they're going to check you out, see whether or not, number one, they trust you to do the work that you said you do, that you have the expertise, that you're bringing a value prop, right? So people say, well, I don't need a website. And what I would argue is two things. Your website today may not be necessarily the primary means in which people learn about what it is that you do, but your website today is almost like your business card.
Yeah.
It lets people know that you're a grown adult, right? The other thing that a website does, and particularly having a business, whether it be an LLC, S corp, consult with appropriate resources and experts to decide which business structure would make the most sense. You need to own some real estate that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
That also signals to individuals whether or not you're a serious professional. I mean, we just saw what happened with London Real, right? been marketing and promoting London Real on LinkedIn for almost a decade. One of my favorite sites to go to. They provided so much entrepreneurial soul food for me personally over the years. For me, the content they share has been invaluable, right? And I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle, right? That's another thing people need to learn is, look, it's okay to post other people's content on your sites.
Right.
Right. It is. It really is okay. There's 300 million people here in the US alone and billions across the world. That's your audience. It's okay. There's going to be some left over for you. But anyway, I digress. So we've seen what happened with London Real. They're, not being broadcasted. They're not able to use LinkedIn anymore. They woke up one morning and their stuff was gone. That's an important lesson. You need to have your own website, your own blog, a place, real estate that you own. So individuals go to your social media, they learn who you are, get a good idea whether or not they want to do business with you, and then they come to your website, your business card, to say, hey, I'm a grown adult, I have an established business. And then you should have the means in which to, of course, acquire, retain, get additional information from them, whether it be their contact information or what have you, right? That piece is very important too. And, these are just some of the things I think about technically, aside from engagement, which I know we're about to jump into. But some of the technical things that you can do to make yourself stand out, and more importantly, sort out the ideal client and individuals who you want to do business with. It's ways in which you can kind of create credibility and stand apart from everyone else. And I know it's tempting. A lot of individuals may be listening to this and thinking, well, that's common sense. No, it's not.
Right.
Common sense is not common. You go online and you'll see that a lot of profiles and a lot of content is being put out there. It's just not on the level. And particularly now, competition is fierce for attention. So competition may not be fierce in terms of being effective, but competition is fierce for attention because now everyone is online promoting something, telling their story. And you have to figure out ways to make yourself stand out.
Yeah. Working through that noise, there's, a lot you can do in terms of socialization and things of that nature. But a big part of working through that noise is, just establishing the fact that you have it together and you've got this established. I cannot emphasize enough that you don't own these social media platforms. They're not yours, right? They are free tools and opportunities that you should be extremely grateful for that you have, but they're not yours. They're not yours. So if you are not finding ways to convert people off of those platforms to a website, onto an email list, on a call, whatever, in some sort of way to capture information that you can just have that's yours now. If they put their email on your email list, that's yours until they unsubscribe, right? You have to find ways to capture people on these platforms to get them off the platform, because that's just not where the conversion happens in the sense of stability, right? Because those platforms can go away. So I see this a lot too. Every time Instagram's down, Facebook's down, whatever, people freak out. Oh God, what is it? Just my account? Is it the whole thing? Did something happen? And they panic. And that panic wouldn't feel so panicked if you knew you had other things set up that were, I'll be fine. I have this real estate that's mine, which is so important. So we're transitioning into talking about engagement now, but that's a big part of it. Of when you're taking the time to use these platforms, that's what it's for. It's for engagement so that you can move that needle off the platform, for sure.
Yes, I concur 100%. And quite frankly, that's how you do it, right? Engagement, right? So you have your content out there, you have your information, you're posting, and then, you've said this so many different times about how you show up, right? You have to respect your audience.
Yeah.
And I'll willingly admit, I'm not doing a good enough job of it. Particularly for me, I'll admit part of my challenge is when you're on 4 or 5 different platforms, it's hard to respond to all 4 or 5 different platforms. So once again, I'm a huge fan of having a major and a minor there too as well, right? my major is LinkedIn. You know, quite frankly, Facebook is becoming more useful to me. But, you know, YouTube and Instagram and all these other platforms, those are my minors, right? But I focus the majority of my time, but I respect my audience on LinkedIn, which is why, there's a correlation there, right? Because I respect my audience. I don't let a like or a share or a comment go unaddressed. Even if I don't respond publicly, you're going to get an inbox. Thank you. I really appreciate the fact that you liked or shared my post, and glad the content resonated with you. Your feedback is always appreciated. It gives me confirmation that, look, my content is resonating. And by the way, at some point, I would love the opportunity to learn about what's most important to you as a business owner, what's most important to you as a professional, what's most important to you as an entrepreneur. You know, what are some of the challenges that you're dealing with, right? It's an opportunity to show up and interact and let them know I respect you, I see you, I appreciate your time. And it's also an opportunity for me to invite that person to invite me into their life. And that's how you end up getting the relationship. And that's how you also end up, of course, acquiring the contact information for the individuals and getting their permission to add them to your email list or add them to whatever tool you're utilizing to collect information. And I know you can speak about that, like.
Right. Engagement only works if you engage. That's just how it is. It's always disheartening to me when I see someone who feels like social media isn't working for them. And it's what I tend to discover from that is they have this idea or this thought that they put up a post, they say something, they even put a call to action, click here, buy this, whatever, and then it just doesn't convert. And I'm always, it is disheartening to think that that's how far we've come now, where we think that that's all it takes, right? That's all it takes is like, you just put it out there, you ask someone to take it, and then that just works that way. That doesn't work in I say real life again, right? It doesn't work in our, physical life. So I'm not really sure why people think that that's just going to work that well on social media. I hear tons of people being like, well, I only got like on Instagram. Instagram is my big main focus right now. And I see people, well, this only got like 30 likes, but that got 100 likes. Okay, well, what are you doing with these likes? Okay, so if you're just saying the likes somehow determine the value of your post, all right, that's one thing I guess you could determine, but who are those people who liked it, right? Or this got 50 comments and that got 20 comments, right? Well, did you respond to any of those comments? Did you reach out to any of those likes? When you did a poll in your Instagram stories, did you respond to the people who participated in it? Yep. Like, it's the equivalent. I do say this a lot of like, when someone gives you a comment, someone gives you a like, if they're like, oh my gosh, I love this, and then you just sit there and just saying nothing. That's what would happen if you did that to a person, right? Someone is giving you a compliment, they're saying they like this, they're saying they want it, they're interested in more, and then you just say nothing. Well, I'm not really sure why you think that that's supposed to convert. If you actually took action and engaged with all of the people that are giving you any sort of attention, right? That are showing you, yeah, I'm interested in what you have to say. You would not, like, it wouldn't even cross your mind on how do I find more people? Because you would just be finding more people organically, but you'd be engaging so well on social media that the numbers would just keep coming in, as well as you'd be so busy. You'd be so busy with prospects and clients and customers, and you would learn so much more about what it is people are looking for and they're wanting to see. So you want more comments, you got to give more comments. You want more DMs, you got to give more DMs. You want more likes, you got to give more likes. And when I say more, I mean, if you want 10 comments, you got to give 30. You got to put way more out there and show that you're willing to step up and engage. You got to mirror the behavior you want to see out of people from you. there's no reason for anyone to engage with you on social media if you yourself aren't engaging at all. And posting something and calling it a day, that's not engagement. It's not engagement. Scrolling through your profile, putting up, posting and ghosting, I call it. And we do that. We're all guilty of that from time to time. It just the nature of social media, but that is not engagement. Engagement is not just sharing your content with the world. Engagement is that, it's that word. You have to talk to people. You have to socialize.
I love it. Yeah, you're 100% right. At the end of the day, I guess I just go back to this, right? Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? People do business with folks whom they like, know, and trust. And a way to earn people's trust, the way to get people to like you, is to ask individuals, particularly if you're B2B, everyone's favorite topic is, what do you do for a living? People want to be able to share with you what it is that they do. So the extent to which you can engage with individuals and open the door and invite them to share who they are, what they do, what's most important to them, you're going to win all day, every day. And that's the thing I think people forget, right? At the end of the day. And to an extent, it's not the public's fault, right? You have these YouTube videos and these ads talking about, buy my system, I'm going to get you to 1,000 to 10,000 to 200,000 to 500,000 followers in one day. And money's going to fall from the sky like manna.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Once again, and here's to be real, it's not to say that doesn't work, but we know that if you send out 100 pieces of mail, you're only going to get a 1% response.
Mm-hmm.
You're only going to get a 1% response. So 1 out of 100 people, if you were to send out 100 mailers across your neighborhood, United States, wherever the case may be, only 1% of individuals are actually going to open your mail that you send out. If you send out 1,000, only 10, right? 10,000, only 100. Well, you can take that approach if you want. You can try to take the shortcut and buy or utilize one of these, short-sighted strategies that don't have anything to do with engagement and brand building, really. It's just you somehow being able to acquire people's contact information and add them to your network. When you post utilizing that strategy, that's what you're getting. You're getting your 1%. Right? That's all you're gonna get. You may get a couple likes, you may get vanity stats, as I call it. You may collect some vanity stats, but at the end of the day, because it's not real emotional engagement, they're really not, and you haven't developed a relationship, you're not conversing with these individuals, your results are going to be peachable. And, unless you're selling a service or a product that pays you $50K per yes, it's not very effective, right? Unless you can afford, unless you have it in the budget to spend, that's something else we need to understand. If you're going to take that approach, you need to be spending $1,000 to $2,000 a month to make that work. Easy. Right. Just across one platform. You got to be spending that kind of money. And even still, you aren't going to get the results you're looking for. So for the fledgling and for, let's just say the business owners have been around for 5 years and under, that really is not going to be a winning strategy for you. You need to be, as you indicated before, acting like a human being. How about we say that?
Yeah,
right?
Think about what's showing up in your inbox. Think about what's showing up in your messages. It's more of that, right? It's more of junk. It's more of not personalized messages. It's people not paying attention, people not reading through what you have to offer, nothing. So if there's more of that, why would you want to be on that train and be one of those people? Because if it's not converting for you, if those people aren't convincing you, why do you think that tactic's going to convince someone else? It's not. It's not. It's going to be phenomenally more difficult to have any sort of success in that way. It's insanely transparent to you're immediately going to be looked at as spam, bot, whatever. There's more of that than there is people just having normal conversations and being human beings. So and I guess I love to, because I know, just like you said, people are going to think, well, this is common sense. Think about what you're doing now. What are you doing? We use social media so mindlessly that take a day, take today, take the next few days to pay attention to your actual habits on social media. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you just scrolling through? Are you just deleting spam messages? Are you leaving? Like, think about what you're doing, and what you're going to find is you're probably not doing this at this level. You're not showing up, like we're saying, feels like common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it is work. It's work to do that. It's social. Being social can take energy out of you, whether you're typing it or talking it, whatever. That it is work. It's real work. But man, if you can just be a real human online, think of how far you could go.
Yeah. Yeah. People, I'm going to keep beating this like a dead horse, because I just think you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
People do business, folks, when they like, know, and trust. You know what they also do? They refer
Right.
to people whom they like, know, and trust, which
Right.
is another reason why this piece is so absolutely important. I like to think about it like this. A customer is someone who patronizes you, and you may or may not see them again. So they walk into your barbershop, they walk into your shoe store, they walk into your boutique, they walk into your dealership. They have a relationship with the product, they have a relationship with whatever service, but they don't have a relationship with you. And since there's no emotional attachment, they will go price shopping, and a whole bunch of other factors will come into play in terms of whether or not you ever see them again, right? A client is someone that patronizes you, but you have developed a relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they return, right? You delivered. You gave them more than what they expected. Your value prop exceeded above beyond what they thought they paid for, right? So you engage them somehow. So not only do they repeatedly visit you, right? Offline or online, but they bring people with them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the other reason why engagement is so important. Because you want a situation where the expense to acquire clients goes down. Like, we're having a business conversation, right? That's what we're having right now, a biz development conversation. This is business development.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, you want to spend as little money as possible to acquire the greatest return. I think about my time, and I think about my money like soldiers. I'm trying to remember, I think I got this from Darren Hardy, right? I think about my money and my time like soldiers. I want to send my money and I want to send my time out. I want my soldiers to acquire resources, to acquire tools, to acquire relationships, and I want them to come back with more soldiers captured, right? And so if you think about from the standpoint of just your time, yeah, it's more time consuming, but it's more profitable.
Right.
Right? It increases the likelihood that person is going to do business with you repeatedly, and once again, invite their friends. Look, because of what's transpiring right now with the pandemic, you're going to have to engage more. So I'm glad you mentioned this. You just got to be real, right? People, entrepreneurship is work. That's what it is, right? We work harder, so our rewards are greater, right? And I don't want W-2s who are listening to this to get it twisted, right? If you have a JOB, that's a blessing, that's fantastic. But the bottom line is entrepreneurs enjoy greater rewards because we're willing to work harder, right? We've made up our minds that we want to be paid commensurate with our effort, talent, and skill and work ethic, as opposed to what somebody else determines what we should be compensated, right? Mm-hmm. And so because we're willing to put in more of the work, we're willing to enjoy more of the rewards, right? The fruits, right? And we can go on and on about the benefits of entrepreneurship as opposed to talking about the pain all the time, right? Fit that in another discussion, but there are some real genuine benefits, right? Freedom, flexibility, greater income, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's going to require work, and particularly now. You don't have time to make excuses saying that you're tired. You don't have time to make excuses saying that you don't know this or you need to learn that, and you don't have time not to have time. Right now, you need to be sprinting. You need to be engaging. You need to be creating content. You need to be responding to every like, every share, everything. You need to be asking questions. You need to be going in right now. because that's what the moment requires. Because once again, when this pandemic ends, trust me, people are going to do business with. They're going to engage the individuals who took the time to engage them, that they have some type of emotional resonance with. That's why this is so absolutely important. You need to sprint right now.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be sprinting. You need to be going hard right now. Because here's the other thing too. While some of the conditions associated with the pandemic, such as the physical distancing, as I like to refer to it, and people, of course, holding up in their homes for obvious and positive reasons, right, to control the spread, it's going to go like this.
Right.
Right. When a quote unquote government opens up, it's not going to open up all at once.
Right.
It's going to happen gradually over the course of time. Movement is going to be less restricted gradually over the course of time. But also keep in mind too, people's habits are going to change. Things are not going to go back to normal. We're going to experience a new normal, a new way of doing business. There are things that are changing fundamentally in terms of how we engage and deal with each other. And that's why this stuff is so absolutely important. You have to be right now, do everything you can to get in a person's living room, right? Know the color of their carpet, know the color of their shades, know the color of their eyeballs, you need to be about that business as much as possible. And you can't tell, like I'm on 10 about this, right? Because I could go on for another 5 minutes, but we don't have that much time to continue going on.
Well, I think that if you've watched this far, it should be extremely clear to you, not only how important it is to be engaging and whatnot, but just how profitable it is for you just to properly engage with people. So let's take it a step further. You are engaging, you're doing that sort of thing, you're showing up, you're having conversations, but you're feeling like maybe this isn't converting for you, right? Maybe it's not working. Maybe you are engaging and you're just like, I don't know, something's off, right? So the first question you need to ask yourself is, are you engaging with the right people? Which goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning. If you're engaging with the wrong sort of person, the people who aren't your ideal people, the people who aren't going to be able to spend this money, who aren't going to be able to work with you, and I will say, not to confuse engaging with the wrong people of people who can't take action right now, right? There might be people down, these might be the right people, but they're going to need some time or they need whatever to take action with you. That doesn't necessarily make them the wrong people, but just knowing that you're still building that relationship, building those discussions. So first asking yourself, are you engaging with the right people, right? Is this moving that forward? And are you creating content or speaking to things that those people actually want to see? If they're not engaging with what you're putting out there and they are the right people, then you're not putting the right stuff out there. Right? So you need to re-examine, what are you sharing and talking about and conversing on or posting about, right? And the other thing too is, maybe it is within the realm of what they want to see, but it's not valuable enough, or it's not of a high enough quality of the content of what you're sharing. You can't put out junk fluff anymore. You just can't. You can't do it, right? That's not to say that you have to have insane opinions or be polarizing or be aggressive in what you're doing, but you need to be confident in what you're sharing. And you need to also be confident in the fact that there is no such thing as oversharing what it is that you do or how you do it or your process. We are ingesting bajillions of pieces of content every second, right? And if your 2-minute spiel on this one part of what it is that you do all of a sudden grabs someone's attention, but you previously were worried to put it out there because you feel like you're giving too much away, you're never giving too much away. Everyone can Google everything. Don't worry. Everyone can find out what you do and Google everything. So you're never giving too much away. So making sure that what it is you're putting out there is of enough quality and value to get someone to bother to listen, to bother to watch. That's just it's so important that that's also going to help convert this all engagement work that you're doing.
Yeah. Don't get mad at your money. Seriously, don't get mad at your money. the market determines what they want, not you,
Right.
right? So you may have to alter your approach somehow. You may have to pivot, right? It's tough because we fall in love with our businesses. But keep in mind, you still have to make important, smart business decisions. And you may have to change your messaging. You may have to change your topic. You may have to make a hard pivot and move into, quite frankly, a different market altogether, right? Um, Being an entrepreneur is about making adjustments. The entrepreneurs that win see things first. We're on the edges, right? So we see the change in appetites, the change in desires. We anticipate things first. That's how we win,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's, I mean, you hit the
Yeah,
nail
and
right on
then
the head.
if you're understanding that you maybe, if this isn't working and maybe you do need to pivot and you're like, I have no idea how or what or where I'm supposed to do that, you don't have to guess. You need to just ask them. These are still
Yes.
your right people. These are still the people that need you. You just need to figure out what they need now. So don't guess. Ask them. Ask them, what are you struggling with right now? Where
Yes.
where are you needing more support right now? Pivot in the direction they tell you, right?
Right.
You don't need to guess to figure out, oh, this is what people need right now because this is what I'm kind of seeing or whatever. You need to ask your people directly.
Yes. I concur 100%. You know, here's something else too. Um, so let's say you are acquiring vanity stats. Let's say you are getting real engagement. Man, how you respond is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you post something, someone takes an interest in it. The wrong thing to do is to inbox them and spill your guts about how wondrous and great your services and products are. I mean, just inundate their inbox with your wonderfulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next question should be, why did you like my content? What did you like best about it? Why did this resonate with you, right? Why is this important to you? Continue qualifying, acquire additional information, earn more of their trust, right? Part of this is doing what your competition is not doing, right? You know, we've heard it said time and time again, successful people do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. So sometimes a little bit of patience goes a long way to further qualify someone, do a deeper dive, because the information they provide you with will also allow you to create better and improved content, right? Content that resonates even more so. So you don't need to go in and try to close right off the gate when someone responded favorably. Ask additional questions, engage a little bit more, right? That way, look, at the end of the day, not everyone's going to say yes. So I get it, right? You're doing your Zoom calls, you're doing this outstanding engagement, and when you're first starting out, yeses feel like gut punches because you don't understand that you're a sorter. You're not a salesperson, right? So you're trying to convince and sell anyone. You got your heartstrings tied up in every single interaction and transaction. The reality matters. You should be more like, I'm just being real.
Yeah.
You should be like a sorter. Your feelings get hurt. Someone says no. No, you have to learn how to eat rejection like Skittles, right? Learn from it. But in any respect, so someone tells you no. Well, if you've taken the time to engage, you've taken time to learn more who they are, but they still say no for whatever the reasons are, that does not stop you from turning around and saying, look, this may not be the right time for you. This may not be what you need at this moment. But who else do you know that could benefit?
Yeah.
Or, by the way, I really appreciated this engagement, this discussion. I have a survey. It's only 1 minute long. Could you please share with me what I could have done better? Could you share with me what you really are interested in? You know, what your opinion matters to me, right? That's what you're saying indirectly. I firmly believe that most people are good. Now, you have some bad actors out there. I just believe they just move around really fast, so we all end up meeting them, right? But most people are good, and most people want to help, right? Particularly if they feel like you're trying to help them and you're coming from the right place. And if you're trying to help people and they feel that genuinely, you'd be surprised how many individuals will say, well, yeah, I know of A, B, and C person. I can share your content with them. I know of ABC person. Here's her name. I can't tell you how many times I receive referrals from asking for them and ask for one referral and I end up getting 10 or 20.
Right.
And I'm not talking about belly to belly. I'm talking about online where the individuals will literally email me a list of individuals to talk to. And that comes from, once again, engaging and getting people to like, know, and trust you.
Yeah.
So that piece is important too. Man, I mean, it's so rudimentary, but it's so essential,
Yeah.
um, particularly given what's going on in this environment. People are skeptical, people are scared, people are stressed. They're looking for belief, something to believe in. They're looking for things that are legitimate. They're looking for, I almost call it like a safety net, right? It's a good feeling when you finally interact with someone who's real. They are the real McCoy. They are exactly as they're the person that's being advertised, right? And the extent to which you can do that, you can transcend that threshold. Oh man, you're gonna win all day, every day.
Yeah. So I think, if you've watched this long, if you're here at the end, you're inspired, you're convinced, you understand, go do it right now. Spend the next 10 to 15 minutes, not even necessarily creating content or whatever. Just go socialize. Go actively, mindfully, proactively socialize, right? And go socialize with other people's content. Send a few messages, check on emails, think about what you can do and go do it. Go do some of it and make a note. This doesn't have to be the most time consuming thing that you do all day, right? It doesn't have to be. You need to start creating some good habits with it. So start with 10 minutes, move it up to 15 minutes, whatever, but go do it right now, right? And let us know in the comments of this as well, wherever you're watching this, of what resonated with you. We talked about one overarching topic of engagement, but we talked about a lot of different things within there. And what resonated with you the most, that sunk in, that clicked for you when you were listening to this? Because we want to make sure we're showing up and producing content in a way that is going to be actionable for you as well. So
Yeah, I love it.
all right, another one. Thank you, everyone. Go take that action, go socialize. Let us know how you do.